what's up, everybody? Woo-hoo! It's Brother Steve. We live at 5. You know how we do it. We live at 5-ish. You know how we do it. We just come on when we come on. Okay, we got to get everybody in the room. Woo! I'm so excited. Woo! I'm so fired up. I had a good day today. I had a real good day today. And I hope you had a real good day today. We got so many. This is going to be juicy. This is going to be good. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be juicy. We got 2 people watching us right now. That's good. Share the video. I need y'all to share this video. Share this video. Let me put that up on the screen. Share this video. Share this video, y'all. I need y'all to share this video right now. If you want to get your people already commenting. I ain't been on the air 2 seconds. People commenting already. We gonna crank this. People say, Steve, why do you jump up and down your chair? Because I'm so excited. We're gonna crank this thing up. Woo! I just feel so good about you and me. It's a great day today. People are already coming. We've got a host of guests. We've got everybody in the waiting room. They ready to crank this thing up. We're gonna talk about it. We're going to talk about it and that. It's the old school. It's the old school where you and your chat with Brother Steve. Now share this video. Now let me get the house rules out the way. Okay? There ain't none. All right? So that's the house rules. There ain't no rules. We're going to do what we want to do and say what we want to say. But let me say this. I want to personally thank everybody who sent us a Cash App, the donations. They helped us out. We're using our Cash App to help people during this time of quarantine. So we're helping people buy gas. I know a single parent mother, she's like painting now. So we bought her painting supplies from the stores. We know people right now that's needing expenses with food and stuff. We're buying pizzas here. I'm just Cash Apping people, just blessing people and helping people. So when you sow into our Cash App, that helps me continue to help other people. Say, well, Brother Steve, what's your Cash App? Ain't no problem. Boom, there it is right there on the screen. Now, this is what we're going to do today. Everybody who Cash Apps us a $5 gift, $5. Thank you so very much. But you know what? 2 people cashed at me $15. So guess what I'm going to do? If you cash at me $15, help me help others, guess what? We're going to give you a pair of earbuds, okay? Earbuds. So if you cash at us $15 seed, we're going to give you some earbuds. But it's going to get gooder than that. You need something to play with, right? We're going to give you an MP4 player, all right? We're going to give you that too. And guess what? While you're running around, you may be late, so we're going to give you a smartwatch. We're going to give you a smartwatch. And then while you got your smartwatch and your earbuds, you may want to watch a movie. We're going to give you a tablet, okay? That's right. You get all this. You get all of this. That's right. We get, because this is mine. This is mine. I got mine. You're going to get all of this right here when you help us help others. That's right. Oh my gosh, it's right. You're gonna get all of this if you sow a seed of $15 or anything into our Cash App, because it's us helping others. Okay. I just did the World Vision 6K walk. I'm still sweating, but I did the 6K walk. And when I came back from the end of the walk, I'm so glad. My neighbor passed away. Didn't even know him. They're holding a car wash next door to raise money. So I took some of my own personal money and donated to them. Help them with the car wash, okay? We about to crank this party up, y'all. We got the one and only Miss Vicki, Mack, Lataillade. And guess what? We got a surprise special guest. Claude is here. It ain't no Vicki without Claude. It ain't no steering wheel without some wheels on the car. So Vicki Mack is here. Claude is here. Woo! We got Carol in the room. Eboni's in the house. And guess who else is in the house? Okay, we got a surprise guest. Let me tell you who the surprise guest is. Here it is. It's a surprise. Okay, Brother Steve from Hollywood, California. Y'all get ready.
From Hollywood,
yo, DJ, are you done mixing yet?
Your DJ has only just begun.
Hello, I'm Bishop T.D. Jakes, and you're watching Brother Steve TV.
Hey, it's Latoya Luckett, and you're watching Brother Steve TV.
This is Rance Allen, and you're watching my friend, Brother Steve TV.
Hey, y'all, this is Landry Johnson, and you're watching Brother Steve TV.
Hi, this is Roddy Darkchild Jerky. This is Chris Tucker. This is Kirk Franklin.
And you are watching Brother Steve.
And you're watching Brother Steve.
Brother Steve TV.
Stick tuned.
From Hollywood, California, you're watching Brother Steve TV.
Hands up! LA! Scream!
Woo! It's time for me to scream myself. All right, y'all. We're so glad to see everybody here on this awesome, wonderful weekend. As I promised you, the one and only, the legendary Miss Vicki Mack Lataillade is here with us today. Vicki, what's up? What's up, Vicki?
Hey, Brother Steve, how are you doing? You've got me all charged up.
Well, I'm fired up too. We quarantined. We got the face mask. We got everything. Somebody made me a Brother Steve face mask. We got the face mask. We got the that. Vicki, I know you got the hair wraps and everything else. We just glad to see you, Vicki, and everybody's just sending us comments and suggestions. It's on my page. Share it to the groups. Share it. People want to see what's going on. Vicki, what's happening with you? How you doing during this quarantine time?
I'm doing great. I'm getting a chance to get some rest, that's for sure. And I'm eating too much food, so
Right.
That's great. And working on some new projects. You know, I've always got new projects going.
Vicki, you're the master. You are the master of new projects. It's like every 2 years, Vicki come out with something new. It's like, Vicki, what else can Vicki do? Is this the reason why we sing or what? What's going on?
This is the reason why I keep moving. So it's good to, you only need one success at a time. So you can try a lot of different things, and the industry is changing so much that you've got to get out there and be as innovative as possible. So
Vicki,
that's
you were innovative like 25, 30 years ago with gospel-centric records. Started out in the garage and your dad.
You were there.
How's your dad?
My dad is doing terrific. He's 92 years old now, and he's on the social networking all the time. And he takes classes because he feels that technology is going to keep him young. So he's we visit him on House Party, and we visit him on Zoom, and just every social networking thing that he can figure out, we get on there and talk to him. So it's exciting to see that he's still going. He's still golfing too in tournaments.
At 92 years old?
At 92, yep.
Wow. Vicki, now I see Claude in the background. Claude gonna say what's up, and Claude, there's that hand. Here it comes. Here comes that chair. Here it comes that. Hey!
In the house, Big Steve.
Claude, what's up,
in the house, man. You got so much energy. I have to back off.
Oh, don't worry, Claude. When we get up there, I'm gonna be sleeping fast out. I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on, Claude? You two are the ones who literally are icons in the not just gospel, but the music industry with gospel-centric records, B-Right Records. I told everybody the only difference between the two labels is just like 2 feet. That's all it is. Like boom. This is what B-Right goes do.
Same thing. Yep.
It was domestic distancing. That's holy. Spousal distancing.
Vicki and Claude, how do you all feel now to do what you have done in the music industry out there and just making everything so awesome and wonderful?
Well, I think it's exciting. I'm so blessed that we had the opportunity to do it. But the thing now for us, and I encourage everybody, is you want to continue to stay relevant. So we're thinking more about staying relevant in this new time. We're creating playlists now that are going to be launched in the next month. So we'll be creating playlists, and especially playlists for new artists to get involved in. So we're doing that. And I also have a food product coming out soon. I've been working on it for a couple of years, but it's finally getting ready to launch. And I think that's the main thing, is that you can't rest on what you've done in the past. That's in the past. And it's to stay relevant now. And so that's what we're doing. There's a couple of artists that we're helping out and looking at the new, because the music industry has changed drastically. Yeah. So it's about staying in the moment, and the moment that we're in right now. That's what we like doing.
Vicki, you come out, is it going to be gospel potato chips or gospel chicken or something like that? You just come out, you keep coming out with stuff. Tell us.
I can't tell you what it is exactly yet, but it's very exciting. It's going to be something new to the food industry, period.
Really? I want to say hello to Kimberly Marie out there more. She said Vicki is the master of new projects. Hey there, Vicki. Want to say hello to Rick Overton out there. He's watching our broadcast right now. People are clicking on. People are chiming in. Vicki, what was going through your brain when you literally discovered and created this whole mecca of gospel music with Kirk Franklin?
Well, what we were thinking at the time was to have music that was relevant for our kids.
Okay.
And so with Kirk in particular, he was kind of a rapper and a preacher all together. And I thought that that would be a really good combination because rap was doing so well, but where was faith-based going to fit in there? And I thought, well, we've had rappers the whole time. The preachers are rappers, really. You put music underneath the bed of what they're saying, and it's kind of the same thing. And so we liked that approach, and we're trying to find as many new things like with Trinity 5-7, and even with Kurt Carr and Byron Cage with Worship and Praise, and getting some of our crossover artists like Kelly Price and Dave Hollister. So we were constantly thinking of new things. Papa San with rap. And, you know, before that, some people forget, but I was the promotion person at Light Records. And so I had the opportunity to work by myself, basically. Vicki Winans, the Walter Hawkins, commissioned, Tremaine Hawkins, who? The Winans. Those were all my projects.
Wow.
Yeah, so I worked all of that before there was anything like a gospel centric or anything like that. And I had a lot of those projects to myself. I was working with Gentry McQuarrie, the late Gentry McQuarrie at the time. And those were the new projects that I was working. So I had that. And then I reinvented myself with gospel centric and Be Right. And then since that time, we've been reinventing ourselves with new projects. And, you know, then I went to Central South and worked with them in distribution for a while. And now we're doing new projects again.
You know, I remember before I came to LA, you worked at Sparrow Records.
Right.
And you said this famous quote, and I use it to this day. I said, this is a quote from my mentor, Vicki Mack Lataillade. And she said, what can you do for me that BB and CC is not already doing? If you can answer that question as an artist, then we can have a conversation. And it only makes sense, you know, and putting out there.
Right. A lot of times people will tell me, I'm going to be your next Kirk Franklin, or I'm going to be your next Winans or whatever. And I was always, I want you to be yourself. I've already done that. I've already, you know, even now with the Tamala and Tamala Man and David Man, and even with Lecrae, you don't want the duplicate of things you've already done or broken.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to always do something new. So when people would say that to me, it would always kind of turn me off, because I'm like, well, who are you? Be you. You know, I don't want to. I've already got Kirk Franklin. Why do I want another like that? I want something new that's going to do just as well or as close as possible. Kurt Carr, you know.
So, Claude, what made you create Be Right? Be Right with the big hit Stop with Be Right.
Well, we don't want to get into all the reasons, but it was pretty much putting our heads together, Vicki and I, and then we had a great friend, attorney Channing, and we're trying to figure out how we can best take advantage of some opportunities that we had. We had opportunity with Interscope, and we had some other. And so Be Right was the means that we utilized to take advantage of that opportunity.
Wow. I mean, it's totally amazing, totally incredible. Now, we're talking about promotions and marketing. There's somebody that you know very well. We're going to bring her. We're going to go all the way to Nashville, bring her in the one and only Miss Eboni Funderburk. Eboni, what's going on?
Good evening. Hello, everybody.
Hi. Yeah, we've done a lot of work with Eboni. You got to have a great promotion person, and she is that.
Thank you, Vicki. Well, you are a legend. So, you know, it's always good to sit under someone like you and glean. Absolutely.
You've been doing a lot of great work.
So Eboni, you know, Eboni and Vicki, as we're going to help these new artists, what did we all do back in the day? I knew a trick. Vicki would have me come to the office, and we'll sit in the car and close the doors, I'll be in there sweating like I am today. Close the doors, crack the window. She said, listen to this record in the car. I'm like, Vicki, why am I sitting in this car listening to? So I'm going to ask Vicki and Eboni to kind of toss in about what we did back in the day and what we're doing today. Vicki?
Well, back then, yeah, we listened in the car because that's how people were listening. So if you sit in the studio gives you such a false sense of confidence, I think. And so I like listening how people are listening. So now it's about the computer and about the phone because that's how people are listening. You want to chime in there, Eboni?
Yeah, and I think honestly, one of the things that has stayed the same is starting with the song. It's all about the song. Even some of the artists that we have, they may not have the best song. So we have to, you know, I always say when we're going to radio, it is about who the artist is, but it starts with the song. That's where the hit is, and that's what's going to get moving up the chart and really brand them in the marketplace. So yeah, we were listening to music in the car. You know, now it's consumption. So people are, you know, consuming music tons of different ways now, but it still always boils down to, is the song hot or not?
Wow. How are things different for you now, Eboni? Well, first of all, it's good to see you. How are you doing with the quarantine? Because I watched the Eboni show on Thursdays with the daughters. Now, how you doing in this quarantine? Well, I don't call it quarantine. I call it the shut-in because the Lord got us all, shut-in.
You know, I, as a consultant, I already work from home. I think the thing that has changed is I also travel quite a bit. So I've had a little travel withdrawal lately because I'm stuck at the house. Even today, I got out and drove like 60 miles outside of Nashville and came back because I just needed to get out of the city and pretend like I went somewhere. And I say I've been traveling. I don't know. So I think I am having travel withdrawals. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. Some of the things that are changing, though, are the dynamics on the station side, because ironically, at this time of COVID-19, listenership has gone up. Listenership has skyrocketed. You know what hasn't? Advertising. Advertising has plummeted. So now you're trying to balance the, you know, we have the listeners, but the advertisers are shut down, whether their businesses are not operating or they've lost money. So they have to cut back on their spend, and they're not spending as much at radio, which means in turn that radio has to find a way to keep going. So we've seen a lot of layoffs, a lot of furloughs. It's been pretty drastic. And to see so many people affected and knowing that there's still more rounds of that coming is a little scary. And, you know, a lot of people have anxiety about it, and, you know, just praying for everybody and lifting them up. The music, and this, again, going back to the song, when you have songs that are timeless out there, I love how some of my stations are going back and pulling some of these old songs that just really speak to the time that we're in right now. And we're hearing a lot of that pop back up, but it's definitely a very interesting moment in radio for sure.
Well, you know, when we speak about radio, there's a voice that I know that is a wonderful, sweet voice, and she's out of Dallas, and she's been around for a very long time. You know, I got to bring in, we call her one of the sweetest women in gospel radio. That's one of Miss Vicki, Miss Willie Mae McIver. Willie.
Hi. I'm good. How are you all?
Good.
So, Willie, how is this COVID-19 situation affecting you, or how is it helping you and being on radio and that whole 9 yards?
You know, what COVID-19 has done was brought a lot of people closer to Christ.
Okay.
And by it bringing them closer to Christ, I've talked to a number of radio stations, some of my affiliates around the country, and they've actually had an increase in listenership. They've had an increase in phone calls, people that are curious. There's something good that's going to come out of COVID-19 for the Lord. And so for radio, right now, a lot more people are listening to gospel radio because they need some inspiration, kind of inspirations they may not be getting on any other format.
Wow, that's unbelievable. You know, that's like incredible, and it's wild and unbelievable. So, you know, do you see like the music industry changing and shifting a lot, or what?
Right now it's kind of everybody's at a standstill because they're not sure what's going on or what's going to be going on in the world. So there's not a lot of changing that's going on as far as radio, besides them, unfortunately, having to let some of the staff go, furlough people and all of that stuff. And we're definitely going to keep those individuals in prayer and know that God's got them and that God has a next for them, whatever that may be. But so I don't know, right now it's changed because radio station personnel aren't able to get out, promotion teams aren't able to get out to touch the listeners and so forth. So that part about it, they're not as mobile in their community, but that just means that they have to have a bigger presence on social media. That just means that they probably need to be more active. And if they're not, I suggest, and I do consult some gospel stations, but I recommend that they increase their social media presence through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and so forth. They may have, I advise them to have experts to come in, people that they may know in the community, health experts or whatever, to get on Zoom, to do Facebook Live on their pages, to give out information that are going to help people. I have them to utilize some of their pastors that have programs on their show to do 60-second inspirational thoughts that they can drop in throughout the day on their stations, to have some of those pastors do Facebook Live on their pages. So this is a way for them to stay engaged with their communities and also give out helpful information that's going to help them through COVID-19.
And everybody can just chime in whenever you want. Willie Mae, how was it like when you were marketing? Because Vicki was creating the hits, and then it went to people like Eboni working in the industry. She was advertising, marketing, and then you were putting it on the radio back in the day. How was it back in the day? Was it easier? Was it more of a challenge? Just talk about that, Willie Mae.
Well, probably right now, it's probably a little bit more challenging now because there's so many more gospel artists than there were back in the day. Back in the day, there weren't as many people, and people could get music in more easily than they could in today's time, because there's so many artists now, and artists aren't waiting to be signed by record labels. They're just jumping out there on social media, doing their own thing. Independent. It's so many indies out there now, and indies that are on the charts. They're just not waiting. They've got that platform. They've got that social media platform. They've got YouTube channels, and so they're just jumping out there and not waiting. But it probably for the indies, and it might take them longer for some of their music to get recognized because program directors and music directors are inundated with music, with songs, with so much.
Right.
And that's why it's best for them to have a person like Eboni, because even though they're sending all of this information to the stations, if the program directors and music directors don't know you, they're gonna look at what Eboni sends first. They're gonna look at what Vicki may send first. You're not gonna be as you're gonna hit their attention the way those individuals would. So it would be to their advantage to do that. But back in the day, it was easier to get a record played. It was easier for artists to go up to a radio station. It was easy for them to reach out and touch program directors and music directors. It's not like that anymore.
Wow. Vicki, how is it with you attacking that international market, reaching the people across the border? I know Eboni has to deal with it all the time, getting people overseas and over on the other side of the world. How was that challenge for you reaching outside the United States?
Well, nowadays you have to think of the global market. You can't think of things domestically like you used to.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's done through social networking, booking, and large radio shows. Of course, you've got BBC and all of that, but it's you can't think domestically anymore. You can't think about just America. I mean, you've got people now doing gospel music in Japan, Brazil, huge amount of listeners in London, and just all over the world. It's you have to think globally, and so that's another reason social networking is critical.
Wow, I gotta say this, and I need to try to find a way. I might need to try to get her on. A great shout out to our good friend Demetrius Alexander out there who's watching us right now.
Hey, Demetrius.
Demetrius Alexander, that is a true pioneer in the gospel music industry. Demetrius is so glad to just hear chiming in and share this video. talking about international. We're going to bring in the one only Carol Crawford out there from London. Hey, Carol, what's going on?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Good to see you all.
So, Carol, how back in the day, I mean, I met you almost like 20 years ago back in the day. How was that meeting Vicki, knowing Eboni, knowing Willie May? I mean, talk about that, Carol. I mean, because you were over in London.
Right. Well, first of all, it's just such a pleasure and an honor to be on here with all of you. Willie May, Eboni, Vicki, you are ladies that have a great long history in the industry. You're all passionate about what you do. You're trendsetters, you're go-getters, and you've charted the path for all of us that are coming in and trying to be a part of this gospel music industry. So thank you for what you've done. It's just a pleasure and an honor to be on here with you. And gospel music is alive and well in London and Europe and UK. It is alive and well. There's so much going on. And my passion really is for the independent artists to really educate them on just reaching out. Vicki, Mack, you just mentioned about London and international and globally. There's so much going on. The artist just needs to reach out, find out who the industry people are in the industry, and introduce yourself. It's about making an introduction and being known. So that's my passion. My passion is building a bridge of communication and connections between the US and the UK and Europe.
And you're still doing that. You got a summit coming up in October, right?
Yes, that's right. Well, last year I launched a summit in London, and several artists flew to London. We had a 2-day event. It was educational. We went back in history, UK history of gospel. Educational, we had some great panelists in the industry. And then the second day was the musical piece where the US artists got to perform with the UK artists in London. And a lot of independent artists can't say that they've even been out the country. But these guys went over there, they networked, they connected, and they really had a great time. This year it's going to be in Seattle. I'm going to have a 2-day event in Seattle. Educational is always important, having that educational piece. And then the musical piece. The music is not the focus. Showcasing, showing up, showing out is not the focus. The focus is get that knowledge. What do I need to do as an independent artist? How do I need to function? What am I supposed to be doing? What's my admin supposed to look like? Who are the industry representatives? And make those connections. So that's what it's about, connecting, networking, and being educated.
You know, I'm going to ask everybody, you know, on the panel, we got a mystery guest we're going to bring in. I'm asking everybody on the panel, just think about, where do we go from here? What's post-COVID? But I got to say hello to another industry legend. Miss Tammy Taylor's out there watching the broadcast right now. And there's Miss Tammy out there all the way from Indianapolis, Indiana, watching out. What's up, Tammy? She said hello to everybody. Willie May, Tammy Taylor. But, you know, Vicki, Eboni, Carol, what's post-COVID? I mean, what do we do where do we go from here? Is internet radio getting bigger than terrestrial radio? Where do we go from here?
Gosh, I'm not totally sure, but I think social networking is going to get bigger than ever, because right now, look at what we're doing. We're on a platform that allows us through social networking, through the internet, to talk to each other. And I think that's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I think we're going to start having concerts on platforms like this more. As soon as they can figure out how to monetize a lot more of this, I think you're going to see a lot more creative ways through social networking, quite frankly. I really do. And churches are using social networking platforms also. So I know our church, I heard we're going to have Fred Hammond. Claude, didn't you say we're going to have Fred Hammond do social networking at our church, Faithful Central? And that's because I asked, I said, how is he going to get there? And it's going to be one of those platforms.
Eboni?
Well, I think Vicki said what I was going to say, but I know on the but on the radio side, that's one of the things Willie may alluded to it. We were seeing a lot more innovation from a station and radio standpoint. I have been setting interviews all over the place online, on Instagram, on Facebook. We've seen the versus battles that have happened that have just re-energized interest in some of the older artists that have been out, like a Babyface and a Teddy Riley, introducing them to a whole new audience that didn't know anything about them before. I think this is such a creative moment to find ways to marry the creative side with the digital platform. Digital is not going to go anywhere. It's only going to expand. I know also on the radio side, we've had to work really hard on marrying the two, because podcasts are like huge right now, and that's only going to get bigger. And so you've seen a lot more businesses, a lot more stations trying to figure out ways to marry what they're doing on the terrestrial dial with what's happening on a digital dial as well. So you have things like the Breakfast Club that they'll do interviews, but then you'll also see it up on their YouTube, and they have a huge, I think their show actually is better on YouTube than it is when you listen to it on the radio. But we're having to find ways to be more creative, be more innovative, to capture the audience and to keep the audience wanting to come back for more. And that means that we have to be really strategic in the content, what kind of content we create, and then how we're disseminating it out to the masses.
Willie?
Well, I've been doing some research, and there's research online that shows that radio is still that platform, terrestrial radio is still that platform people are going to the most. It was already at a 90% percentage of people that, as far as the medium that people go to, whether it's TV, podcasts, whatever, it was terrestrial radio was still high in the rankings. But then I also read an article the other day that said that there's like a 25 to 30% increase in the number of people listening to terrestrial radio. Wow. And the reason why it's growing too is because first of all, they said that people are getting burnt out watching television because the news is depressing a lot of time, and that's what's on there. They said that they've gone through the 21 episodes of this on Netflix and the season 1, 2, 3, 4 of this on whatever. So they're kind of getting burnt out on television. They're going back to radio. But the reason why they said that radio is it's outpacing the podcast or even Sirius, because they said that people are listening not just for the music or to be inspired, but they're also listening for information. Wow. And so they know that if they listen to radio, they can get all of it at one time. They can hear the information that they need to keep abreast. They can listen to it for inspiration. They can listen to it for music. It's an escape, but they can get everything all in one. And on a lot of the other radio type platforms, they don't get that. They can't get the news and information. A lot of the country, 48% of the country has opened back up. 48 states have opened back up, not completely, but parts of 48 states have opened up. So that means now there's time checks that need to be done. There's traffic checks that need to be done again. That kind of information that they can't get on the other radio type platforms that they can get on terrestrial. So terrestrial radio it's still popular, and it has surged in listenership since COVID-19.
Speaking about radio, everybody done said hello and said hi to all the ladies on the panel, and some people said hi to me and everybody. But now some of the artists are becoming announcers, and some of the announcers are becoming artists. But see, back in the day, we had announcers who was managers. Back in the day, y'all remember that? You remember that big artist who had a good manager, and it was good because when the artist had a good manager that knew the game, it helped you out to get them on radio, and they could pay the set. There's nobody I know on the East Coast but one of those, Brother Jerome Bell out there.
Oh my God. This is amazing. Look at all the people in the boxes. It's like Hollywood Squares.
Jerome, talk to us.
Come on, Vicki, Eboni. Oh my goodness, Willie Mae. Sandra, is it? Yeah.
Jerome, talk about
crossing the water.
Talk about some of the people you managed back in the day and how it was back then doing managing and radio at the same time.
Oh my God. Well, you know, back in the day, first of all, I think when I first met Vicki, was it Polygram or Polydor or something, and then Light, and you know, relationships. It's been so about relationships, and amazingly, back in that time, we weren't as great on business, quite frankly, as we later became. I remember, for example, I was working at the radio station. Wesley Boyd, who was Richard Smallwood's road manager, and they came to the radio station. They had a date in Houston, Texas. I was the first one at WYCB in Washington to play My Liberty, which was Southeast Inspirational Choir. And in that day, it was just a black album with white writing, no pictures. We didn't know who these folk were. So when Wesley couldn't go, they came to the radio station and asked if I would go with Richard and them to Houston. So I said, yeah, you know, so we get to Houston and we see the girl that's singing My Liberty, who looks nothing like what we had imagined. So, you know, on that line, the rest is history with Yolanda Adams. But when we got back, just to speed that story, when we got back, it was maybe 2 weeks later, and the Smallwood singers were out getting ready to load up the van. They used to leave at midnight, and because they would have to drive 10 hours to Ohio or wherever, 10 hours to Tennessee. So they would leave at midnight. I got a phone call from the payphone at the corner where the van would meet, and Tim Lindsay said, "We are waiting for you." I mean, waiting for me for what? And so Richard gets on the phone, and Richard said, and this time they used to mail out the itinerary to the members. Richard got on the phone and said, did you get the letter that Dottie sent you? Dottie was the group secretary. And so I was like, yeah, I got it. I thought they was just sending me information of the dates where they were going to. So I said, oh, that's nice. They telling me everywhere they're going. I did not know that I was to be the road manager. So, and I did that for over 25 years, you know. So, while being out on the road, that's when we developed the relationship with the Hawkins, and which became All Things Hawkins. And I remember when Tremaine was with Lee Maggot, and she didn't re-sign with Lee Maggot, and so Tremaine had said, "I'll just get Jerome to handle things until I find somebody else." So it took her over 25 years to find somebody else. And so it's just you know, so that's just how, you know, so I tell people, so when people say, how did you do it and how did you get into it? And we all know that, you know, God, well, the Lord did it. That's just not enough information, you know. But it really was by being on the job, being faithful, being active, being involved. And we just don't have people that's involved, that's active. You know, folk want to go straight from the choir stand to the center stage. And, you know, when we were riding in vans and station wagons, and it didn't make no difference how many folk was in y'all group. We got 2 rooms. Boys, girls.
That's right, and you better work it out.
That's right.
Y'all didn't have a tour bus?
We had 2 rooms.
Y'all didn't have a tour
But those girls came out looking fabulous, didn't they? They worked those 2 rooms. And you know, I was always the youngest, so wasn't no sense in even thinking about a bed. So my job was to ask for extra blankets and towels and pillows, because I knew the deal. So, but it's been a journey. It's been quite a journey. And, you know, things have changed drastically as you all were speaking earlier, I wanted to take a pen because Eboni, Vicki, y'all were dropping so many notes that I needed to take notes with what you were saying, because things have changed, and I found myself reinventing. You know, I'm grateful to still be in the mix, and you know, to just keep relevant and do some other stuff. I'm the new recording artist, you know, and so because you know, a lot of us in radio, a lot of us were in the booth singing anyway, thinking we could sing anyway, but the thing is, Miss Abbott, the thing is, I was actually singing in high school. I used to do the nightclub scene and all of that. I was singing before all of this. So I think partly that became my love for music, of which I've always had, but to see the evolution, how things have evolved, how things have changed. But when I look across the room, I think it was last year, year before, I was out in Vegas for the Stellar Awards. When I look up and see the interaction of a Vicki, Mack, Lataillade, and Claude, and I remember when Eboni came on the scene, and Willie May, and I saw Demetrius on earlier, and Tammy, and all those folk. When I see you all so active and still in the mix after all these years, after all the stuff, I guess we ain't gonna talk about the stuff, but it's like, the things we have survived, the people we have survived. But glory be to God to still be in the mix. You gotta love this. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. And the other thing you gotta do is love it. And so I'm just grateful, man. Look, I can go on and on, so you gotta stop me because I'm radio too. So we don't want no dead air.
But Jerome, how was radio for you back in the day, breaking artists? And what do you see different? What do you see these artists doing now? Do they don't want to work? Do they want to work?
Well, it's just it really is a different breed of artists.
Absolutely.
I don't really know them like I knew. Here's what I do know. I know that these new jack artists.
Jerome, tell the old, I'll tell the new. How about that?
Okay. Thank you for that, because I won't mess up. But what I do know is the old schoolers. Yeah, I think it's the things that they had to go through to get to, and many of them. I mean, as somebody said earlier, I think Willie May mentioned. You know, it took a Vicki, Mack, Lataillade to come in with that Winans record. It took her to come in and literally, I mean, during that time, because I also think she was the innovator of the singles, because back in the day, we did the new album and we was playing all over it. You know, we were picking what our song was. You know,
I was bringing in those singles and people were mad at me.
Yeah, you know. And look, and then she started holding back on us, you know. Like,
holding back.
We ain't have but one song. So it's like,
thank you, Vicki.
It's like you're not gonna get the other song.
You didn't get the whole project
for 3 months. You know, but that kind of thing, ultimately, as has been proven, ultimately helped the industry, not just the artists. So artists became grateful to the people that were working with them, to the people that were working around them. And again, going back in the day, I'm sure much like it is now, it was just a blessing to be a part of the scene and to be involved. And as you said, yeah, many of us, when we were at the radio station, we were radio announcers, we MC, this was before we became worship leaders. We were MCs of the concerts. I love the Clark Sisters show the other week. I've been watching that because we were also the Uber Eats long before that. I've been going to get chicken and fries and stuff for the artists. You know, so we were just doing all of that for the good of the concert, for the good of the artists, because we love the music, but we love the artists. And finally, you know, there was a lot less of them than there are now. The market is just absolutely flooded with artists, and I'll say this too, and what really needs to happen, because a lot of the legends, a lot of the old schoolers have become their own hindrance by not keeping up with the new way, and So old school is old school. I love it. I'm glad that I came through it, but I'm excited to watch what's happening now and how the people are navigating their way through it. I don't know. The assets that we have now is just no excuse, because you just lying if you say you couldn't reach me.
But Jerome, do you think this is the one thing about the new school that concerns me a little bit? I don't hear as much unique sound.
Right.
There is some.
I agree.
Yeah.
People like Jonathan McReynolds and Corinne. What's her name? Corinne.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
back in the day, there was Tremaine, Yolanda. You knew these voices as soon as they hit the first note. Now it took me a while, and I hear a lot of the same voices, and I think that is one of the things that's missing. Why, I don't know.
And can I also add to that, Vicki, though, that there is also I think from back in the day, the transition on what the end goal is changed. Or back in the day, it was really a lot more ministry focused. Even if you weren't ministry behind the scenes, you were still ministry here. Right. And today, a lot of the artists, I think, honestly, with American Idol and The Voice, and I can name some gospel ones, but I'm not going to. The focus became, how do I become a star?
Famous.
How quickly do I get there? And so that, with that mentality, it becomes less about ministry and more about who can I hire that's going to get me there. I don't care if they do it legally or illegally. This is what I want, and I need to get there the quickest way I can. And when you start undermining the integrity of the gospel part of gospel music, then you're going to get people that sound the same, because they're thinking, oh, if I sound like this, I could be famous. If I look like this, I could be famous. My question, I love how y'all said that, it was less artists back in the day. My question is, so what is your focus? What is your end game? Is it really because you feel like the Lord has led you to this? And I think this is going to be something great for COVID, on the other side of COVID-19, because there are going to be so many people that have experienced loss and that are grieving, that have PTSD, that are looking for Jesus, that this other stuff is not going to last. They really are going to want to have ministry and music that really is.
Well, I think because the heart will be back in it, and a lot of the old schoolers, it was the heart of their ministry being recorded. It wasn't just them wanting to be a recording artist. It was the heart, the passion of ministry that was being recorded. That because their heart was in the recordings that they were doing, they didn't mind doing whatever it took to get it done. I mean, Albertina Walker and them, they were selling records out the car, it didn't make them no, but these folk that we got today, they got a stylist, they got a person that does this and a person that does that then too, they got this from somewhere, probably watching TV when they thought it's supposed to be.
The heart has to be in it.
But the old schoolers got involved and they did all that stuff. The old schoolers, they used to, they showed up for rehearsal, for sound checks, for ministry. They stayed, they didn't mind signing autographs and taking pictures. We got wonderful folk now. They don't have time. They got to go.
Well, and like you said, the heart has to be in it. And right now, some of them, instead of having, they have more of themselves in it than their heart in it. And some people feel that they've arrived before they have arrived.
Yeah.
So
it's just, I think it's just a different day. This is not, we're not beating up on the New Jacks, but it definitely is a new day. And there's the access. Let's see. I mean, like now, folk are wait. I mean, since we've done this FedEx is not even as relevant. You know what I mean? As far as we used to have to Federal Express the plane tickets. You know what I mean? To the band members, to the singers. Well, like now, because there is electronic ticketing, we don't have to do that anymore. So there's a change. You know, people are waiting for, you know, who's going to be in my room and all this stuff. I mean, I've just seen so much from the 2 rooms to being on the road with Richard when I was responsible for 18 rooms, you know, which was unheard of. You know?
There's a change.
So, yeah, things have constantly changed,
take place.
You know,
there's a change.
Venues have changed.
Right, but what doesn't change is wisdom. You have to have wisdom, regardless of what era, generation you're in. If you don't pray for discernment and for wisdom, it doesn't matter what demographic you are. It's not going to work if you don't pray and for wisdom. Absolutely. For God to give you the wisdom for that craft and for that gift.
The principal thing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know, on that note, when we start talking about whether it's old school or new school, and I use the analogy, you know, even in preaching, I use the analogy that as things evolve, you know, back in the day, I was also typing out, you know, on a Selectric 2 typewriter, you know. Well, now we have laptops and we have iPads, you know, but the thing is, the pad is still the same. The tradition does not change. The foundation does not change. It's still ASDFJKL semi. You see? Yeah. So it's still prayer. It's still wisdom. You know, you better pray. You better have wisdom. You better let the Lord lead you. You know, because it is still gospel music that we are talking about. You know? So it's interesting.
But I want to say, did you guys have those issues over there in London, Carol, with artists being like have arrived? I know Vicki and I had a little. Well, I don't know. I can't say Vicki and I had a joke. I had a joke back in the day at convention, and I said, all y'all artists, y'all come to me with all these little records. Your first record, I'll give you a spin, but after your sophomore record, then you know little things differently, because they would come to these award shows with 12 people, an entourage, a hair person, a makeup person, a bag person, a popcorn person, and we would say, you know what? You know what your record is doing at the airport. They said, what do you mean, Steve? When you go to the airport and that SUV and pick you up, then you all right. But when you go to the airport and you jump in the cab and you get yourself to the hotel, then we knew it was something different on your record sale. Did y'all have that problem over there in London, Carol?
I would say the challenges are the same. The challenges are the same. But one thing I would advise the artists to do is get the word in them. Praying is good, seeking the Lord, but they have to have the word in them as well. But we have the same challenges, Brother Steve. Artists on different levels, artists wanting to be at a certain place. There's work. It takes work. It takes work. You don't just get to a certain level in your artistry or your industry overnight. You've got to put in that work. So, yep, we have the same challenges.
So it's work. Yeah. So where do we go? Where do you think we should go from here? I mean, do you think internet radio again is going to boom? You think artists should, focus on? You're doing virtual concerts now. Where do we go from here?
Well, one thing I would say is the virtual space is going to get wider. The virtual space is going to get wider. The global space is going to get closer because of the internet, because of social media. You can reach almost any country you want to reach. So I just feel like the virtual space is going to be so much more broader, and artists need to get on board with that. Be innovative, be creative, as everyone has said earlier on.
Go ahead.
COVID-19 is fixing that. Mm-hmm.
Well, I love what Carol is saying, and I'm interested in hearing from Vicki and Eboni and Willie Mae, because I'm the artist now too, so I've got a CD coming out and a book coming out, but what I'm finding really is that, and a lot of people used to, they would come to me and you did this and you did that, and can you manage? No, I'm not interested. I'm not even interested in managing nobody but me right now. So it's been a great ride. I ain't mad at nobody. I've had a wonderful time, but I'm excited about this new season. And so what I look at my people that's been in this a minute and that I've been observing, and have worked even with you on certain things. But now I'm looking at the whole scene in a different perspective because because it's even different for me now. So I would imagine that I know it's got to be. I mean, Vicki has seen she has seen all of the differences. So it's I mean, from the 45s, the albums, the cassettes, the CDs, the DVDs, all of this stuff, and the plethora of artists that Eboni has worked with in her time. It's interesting. It's real good and encouraging in a bizarre sort of way to hear Carol say, that they experience the same things, similar things, even in London. Because people are people wherever you go. And and for the music that's coming across Willie Mae's desk, that's it's different music than it was 20 years ago. Something Vicki said earlier about hearing fresh and new sounds, and sometimes when I listen to gospel radio, when I am kind of waiting for what I hadn't heard already. Exactly. And exactly. Because back in the day, even the choirs, you could tell when it was Maceo Woods. You could tell when it was Milton Brunson. You could tell if it was Georgia Mass or Florida Mass. I mean, but it was still, they had their own sound. Clearly, there's no question about when Shirley Caesar comes on. But some of the others, I'm not sure if that's. I gotta listen to maybe the second verse, and I say, oh. But there's no question. It was no question about it when it was the Hawkins family. It was no question.
I'm saying. What's missing. I think that's exactly what's missing right now. Is we have a plethora of people coming out right now. They're just all over the place, but we're mimicking. I think a lot of them are mimicking what they've heard from others instead of, for some reason, back in the day, there had to be unique sound, like the Clark sisters. No one sounds like the Clark sisters even now. Well, Winans, Marvin Winans. If someone does sound like him, it's because they're mimicking him. Just on and on. You can just name anybody from back in the day. Everyone sounded different. And I don't know if it's because of overexposure that people are mimicking those who came before, but I really am looking for some new sound. I mean, when we were working with Kirk Franklin, no one was doing what he was doing, the voice of almost a preacher, a young preacher, a rapper, with the choir behind that was very female heavy. But I'm still hearing the same thing now.
Hey, Vicki, I have a question for you from a label perspective, because you are the legend. How important do you think artist development is? I know we lost a lot of that element as we kind of moved into this new era of the label, but do you think that will come back to help kind of filled into what you're talking about with innovation and artists that sound unique and different?
I think artist development is everything still, and I don't know if it's going to come back because, first of all, I think a lot of the reason you have artists that don't have hits or don't sell like they used to is because they have no one really to report to on their music. If you try to recommend now, this is for the ones even that are legends, a song to sing, you can't really tell them what to do. And then
you can't tell them what to do. You can't tell them what to do.
And so, and then with the new ones, they're used to submitting a full record. I got a full record on Kirk Franklin, but I got Donald Lawrence, a guy named Donald Lawrence that no one had really heard of, and another guy named Kevin Bond to go over that record with fine-tooth comb. We had to redo things, and they were willing to listen, And now you'll have a new artist. They're so major, you can't tell them anything. They haven't come out with anything before. And so they have a tendency to sound like what they've heard a lot of times. Inside of their voice, there's a lot more there than you can hear, but you can't stretch it and get it out. So I don't know if you're going to get that artist development like you used to, because
it's definitely a different day, and that's another thing, Eboni. That's another thing, you know, from old school, you know, the whole Motown Berry Gordy format where, you know, and it was like that for us, even in DC at the radio station. You, Vicki, you'll remember the late Madam Lucille Banks Robinson Miller, and we had folk at the radio station, even as hosts and stuff. We couldn't go out and represent the radio station at Constitution Hall and Kennedy Center unless we knew how to look, unless we knew how to govern ourselves accordingly on those big stages to say that we're here from WYCB 1340 AM. You needed to have your suit on, your bow tie, and you know, and right now it's just do your thing, you know, go do you, whatever, and you know, whatever that is, and so no, there's no funnel channel or clearance form per se, if you will, and maybe it's under the guise of individuality, but even still. With individuality, there's still creativity, and there was still, you know, I mean, the Hawkins family, baby, you know, you're talking about class and presence and elegance and all of that, you know, Albertina Walker, the Caravans, you know, the old school groups, you know, even when Reverend James Cleveland, I mean, it was just a presence about it right now. And right now, many times we got situations where, you know, they coming in straight from the laundromat, you know, some of them. Right. Or and presence. So none of them are going through what it takes to have presence, I guess. I don't know, but it's
part of that problem is that some of the gatekeepers, Willie Mae, allow those doors to be open for them to get through and on the air and in front of folks. So how do we even challenge that? What? I'm sorry, Brother Steve. I'm not taking your job over.
No. This is open chat, man. I'm gonna open the comments right now. I'm gonna open the chat room. Go ahead, Ebony. Everybody just chat. This is unscripted, y'all, because we got a question from the studio audience right there. Somebody just threw the question. So go ahead, Ebony. Go ahead, Willie, man.
So what can we do?
So, Ebony, as a person who came along during a time period when there was a full package, when artists like Pastor Bell said had a full package from head to toe, there was a look, there was a sound, there was structure. There's not structure going on now. So, is it possible, Ebony, putting it back on you, for the artists that you work with, is there any, will they listen to you and you tell them how back in the day, this is how a packaged, polished artist would go out and represent Christ. Now, they have their own ways, and I appreciate young people, how they're representing Christ and so forth, but there was a manner in which you did it with what we perceive as excellence that they may not be doing now. And since you know how it used to be done, is there any way you can say back in the day? Because image, for some people, maybe not for others, but for some people, image does matter. Image might get your record played. Image matters. To have that full package pulled together gospel artist look, that matters to some people. So for those artists that say, well, you know what, I am who I am, I'm gonna come as I am, blah blah blah, whatever, then you can do that. That's up to you. It's a free country, free world. But that may jeopardize how someone treat or accept your song because of that quote unquote image.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and look, and Ebony, since Willie Mae is jumping on you with this, let's just throw this in there with it, because part of that also was that the people around the artists, I mean, you know, they had to be. You could not just wear what you want and whatever around the Hawkins family and thinking you representing Walter, Ed, and Tremaine and them. You couldn't just be any kind of way, show up any kind of way with Richard Smallwood and those Smallwood singers. Marvin did not play that with the Winans. You gotta look like you with the Winans, you know. So a lot of it is also the people that's also representing, you know. It was a big deal. It was a big deal when Vicki, Mack, Lataillade would be coming up those steps, and the word was that Vicki Mack was going to be here. I mean, it was like we put cookies on the reception desk and everything. And this is 1980, 1981. Because it was the what do they call it? The advanced team, you know, of representation of what. And if you better be nice to her if you want to get a record, you know, and who could help you with the interview, who could help you make the rest of the stuff happen. So, you know, and a lot of that is, you know, I used to call it gospel Hollywood because there were people like the Hawkins. I have to give it to them with that. I mean, it were people that just kind of helped establish the establishment, you know, to just come up, you know, to just come up, you know, don't let that just belong to the Jackson 5 and to the Temptations and the Supremes. That class and elegance and presentation belongs in gospel music.
Right, it does. And you know, I think some of that comes from even the evolution of the church, how we've seen kind of like this branch out to non-denominational and some other churches where it's a lot looser when we have church services, because we'll go and see praise teams and girls that have on tight pants and skirts and that kind of, you know. So I think it's not just a gospel music thing. I think that kind of bleeds into where we are as a community and a body in Christ. But I do feel like, to your point, Willie Mae, that you do have to have a team around you that is not afraid to say, hey, that outfit's not, and let me tell you, this is a challenge because I have been faced with this challenge before. So I try to build a rapport with the artist. So when, you know, it's time to go to a stage, let me check what you got on, you know, because we want to make sure the presentation, when they get up there, we want them to hear what you're saying and be ministered by what you're saying and not so distracted by what you're wearing. So
somebody has to tell them. Somebody has to tell them. And I think it kind of falls back on us, because some of them, if you know better, you do better. And some of them may not know better. Now, some of the industry people, some of the artists and industry people, they call me Mama Willie Mae, Auntie, because I have to tell them. I have to say, look, you can't do this. Look. So they just I incorporated the name Mama Willie Mae, Mom, Auntie. Okay, call me whatever you want. But no, you can't do this. No, you can't do this. And however they take it, they take it. But I can't see them doing something that I know is not right, or that's going to hurt them, without at least giving it a try and throwing it out there.
Because a lot of times your first impression is the impression. So you know, I've had an artist that's been on an event, say at Full Gospel, and they got up wrong. I'm gonna just tell you what they had on was wrong. I was not there, but I want you to know I heard about it because I got 3 phone calls that night. Girl, I got a text. Child, are you watching this online? What does she have on? And I'm saying that is what now becomes attached to that person's name. What they had on. Not did they sing, did they minister, was the song a blessing, but their sweater was too tight, you could see their panty line. I mean, this is really real, this is real stuff. And the other thing is the art of the interview. I have had to sit with artists, I'll go through an interview with them and it's been painful. And I will go behind them and say, okay, so let me just give you a few pointers. And I have to, you know, you have to be a certain way about it. But if you know if you lined up 5 more interviews, we can't go through 5 more interviews with you crashing and burning like you did on this one. You need to know your song. You need to know where you're from. You need to be able to spot it just like this. If you don't know, you need to have 5 people in mind that are mentors of yours that you looked up to. Don't start naming some secular folks. I'm using secular. That's how some of the people hear it. It's secular. I call it mainstream. But you gotta be on top of the interview. And I think a lot of that that was a label thing back in the day. Unfortunately,
you had artist prep. You had artist prep.
Yeah. You just don't have that now. For me, I am in a place where I kind of can pick and choose some of the artists that I work with. But that is one of the things I'm looking at. Are they teachable? Are they willing to take advice, sound advice? And then knowing how to present that advice, even to some of my old school folks, okay? Because it's a new day. But being able to say, you know, you may want to try this the next time, or you'll probably get this question a lot more. So you might want to know what you're going to say here. And I wouldn't say this, but being able to work with them and go through and put their mind at ease, because once they get it, that's when they can shine, when they're comfortable and they know what they have on is right, what they're saying is right. They know their music, they know their, and I always tell an artist, I can get you to the platform, but I can't control what you do on the platform. That's up to you. So I get you there, but if you crash and burn, that's on you. So know the music.
I nominate Eboni to because a lot of this stuff was incorporated in classes that people used to actually attend or come to, be it at GMWA or Hawkins Seminar, or of course now there's a workshop, seminar, and convention every month, every other week someplace. But that will change as a result of COVID-19. But when the people, because I love what Demetrius Alexander said, and she said that we have lost some of our spiritual class, because when you would see Demetrius and Cece out, I mean, you just look over at their table at the restaurant, and it just looked like class, But but also because our artists, even if you were not a fan, if you didn't know the genre, if you didn't even know who these people were, it was a time when you could come in and you could look at them sitting at a table in the restaurant. You might not know them, but they must be somebody. Just by the way they carried themselves.
Jerome, we used to at Gospel Centric, we actually had etiquette classes.
Yep, there it is.
So
there it is.
We had etiquette classes for them, because what was happening was that people especially would go to foreign countries and do things that were very deemed to be offensive sometimes, like not turning their lips up at food, not wanting to eat it, and just that you can't do, but also not knowing the appropriate knife and fork to use. Some of the pastors, especially when you would go back to still to this day, when you go back to their rooms and they set a plate for you, they use fine china and full cutlery, full utensils, and you've got to know how to use those items. You have to know how to handle yourself at a table that's fully accommodating with 3 and 4 forks and all of that. I mean, there are a number of pastors I know that still do that when you go to the back. And
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean to leave out the pastors, because I done been in the room with them too. Stuff like that.
Yeah, but if you don't know how to handle yourself in that back room, and they're pulling out a spread for you, that cause you not to ever be invited back again.
Oh yeah, I'd have ate some things I would have never ordered. I would have never asked to eat, but because this is where we are, the best way to keep this a good thing is to go ahead and eat this right here.
That's right.
Or act like you're eating it or something.
That's right. That's right.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna open the floor for 2 questions real quick. But Vicki, you knew a gospel-centric artist when they walked in the room. I've worked with your label. It's like, okay, and I want to say God bless and hello to Tracy Artist. I know she's watching the replay. We talked to Tracy and to Lisa. Say hi to Lisa Stinson out there as well.
Hey,
Tracy was like, okay, Steve, we know you on radio, but we at the awards and you driving the van today. So I would have to drive the van, pick up artists at the airport. You driving the van, you ain't on radio right now. Okay. And then Vicki would have me go to the office in Inglewood. Okay, this is what you gonna do today. Okay, no problem. So, but there was a level, and I always say this. One artist taught me how to cut up a chicken with a knife and fork. And I sat there in disbelief and watched Edwin Hawkins eat an entire chicken with a knife and a fork. And
listen,
the whole thing.
That's not even fair. That's a whole nother kind of boot camp when you out with them Hawkins. You gonna learn some stuff when you out with.
But Norman Hutchins.
Oh my God.
Norman Hutchins, one of our first questions, he says, how does the old school compete with the new school, everybody? Go ahead.
Boy, that's a good question. I don't think you do compete. I think you make sure it's clear that you're a legend, and then you do things within that realm. You've got to bring in a lot of you have to let it be known who you are through historically the music, because you do, like a Norman Hutchins has hits galore.
Yeah.
And you've got to bring those forth so that people know those and intermix that with your new music. But I think for most of the legends, the older, what's catching us up is social networking, I think. Is being on all of the platforms. It boggles me a lot of times. Keeping Instagram going every day, and
but you do a good job.
Oh,
you do a good job. One of my favorite channels,
especially at Whole Foods. Especially at Whole Foods the other day, Vicki. That was priceless. It was priceless.
And they have a new segment. The new segment is riding in the car with Vicki and Claude. I love that.
Daughter, I listen to my daughter a lot. That's not because it came out of my brain. You do have to listen to some of the younger people help you with that social networking, because I'm like, why do I have to be on there every day? Why do I have to do this? Because the algorithms have changed. And I'm thinking to myself, I could care less about an algorithm. However, to compete, you're going to have to care about algorithms. You're going to have to be on there every day. You're going to have real stuff and not fake numbers, and watch real numbers grow. It's hard, but without trying to do all the same old thing is not going to get you there. You have to remember the old and who you are, but you have to come into the year 2000 and 221. And that means you have to be on, am I right, Eboni? You have to be on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, and not cheating.
Not cheating.
I'd like to buy a bot to say I have 1 million views and stuff like that. I'd love to do it, but you can't. I have maybe 50. If it's a view, it might be 120, and that's real. But you have to like work for these people, and I think that's the thing that the old school has to do. They have to get on that social networking platform.
They're buying bots out there.
Well, and that's true, because there are people that, matter of fact, there was an article about that not too long ago. I didn't read all of it. I started, but just about one of these social influencers had bought a lot of her followers, and she was getting sponsors. What do they call them? I guess they're called where she does like the paid sponsorship, and she, with somebody's product, and they weren't selling anything. Like it wasn't moving the needle. She had over 1 million followers, and I don't think they got out of the low double 3 digits on anything that she was selling. And the thing was, bots don't engage, bots don't stream, bots don't buy. People do. So if you have 5,000 followers, but 2,500 of them actually engage, that's 25. Imagine if 2,500 people were streaming your music every week, every other day, or what. That is how you monetize. You want to play, you want to grow organically. Don't buy.
Yeah, and that is hard.
It is hard. I think there is a lot of pressure for numbers, just to say that you have a number and not necessarily really have the number, not the following, and not the influence. And the influence is what you really want to have.
So the new school has
it's a dangerous thing. It's very dangerous, because you have organizations, I know, like Six Flags, for example. Six Flags will book the top 4 acts with the most followers on Twitter and Instagram, and that becomes they got 1.4 million followers. We need to book them, and then it's only 800 people bought tickets. So it's this fudging of numbers has never been good.
But the old school has to get into it the real way. The old and it's a job. You can feel like you're working for Instagram or for Facebook or for Twitter, because they mean for you to be on there doing something every day and gaining those numbers. And I think that's with the old school. It's hard, but you got to get involved in that, Norman. And It could be through your preaching ministry that it happens. It doesn't have to be that you're singing all the time, but you have to show that you personally can engage people. That's a part of the competition for the new.
Wow.
And can I also
COVID has challenged everyone. COVID has actually challenged everyone to do that. They really have to get on social media now because a lot of things have shut down, and the only way that somebody's going to see you or hear you outside of radio is getting online. So I think it's challenged some of the old school folks to learn how to do this stuff. They have to. It's the 21st century, so they have to move with the times, like you said.
You're right, and
Yeah.
also,
So Carol, what time is it? What time is it, Carol? What time is it?
I'm in Seattle right now.
Oh, okay.
But if I was in London, it would be 3
Wait a minute,
a.m.
Carol's in London. Wait a minute. Yeah.
I'm in
Okay.
Seattle.
But the late our queen, the late great Albertina Walker, she would thank me for keeping a particular artist visible, because she would say, out of sight, out of mind, baby. So you got to do. You ain't always got to even be on the program. You better learn how to just show up sometime, just so that you can be visible. And that's old school.
Visible,
but it's true.
Well, because she used to always have her number in the phone book, remember? And now it's the same.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Where you've got to be on TikTok sometimes. I mean, it's crazy thing, but you really do. Yeah. You have to be on all the different platforms. You have these versus things where like last week I listened to Erykah Badu and Jill Scott, and I recently listened to Hezekiah Walker and John P. Key. You have to be on these things. People have to see your name trending in the column with everybody else's. Yeah. You have to be on there. You have to be on Brother Steve's. People, they have to see these names, or you're not relevant. You're just sitting at home, not being relevant.
But here's another thing too with the old school artists. It's not like a competition. I think that we need for them to continue to do what they're doing. There's still a market for that. If I'm really going through something, I have to listen to that style of the old school artists. I have to. That's what feeds me better. I like the new age gospel music and the new music and all the new artists and so forth. If I'm really down and out going through something, I want to hear something that Norman Hutchins had out there. I want to hear something that style of music works to feed my soul. But that's just me personally. So we don't want the old school gospel artists to think they have to change. I think they still need to do what they're, stay there in that spot. There's still a market for it. But like you said, they do have to get on social media.
They may have to sing that song that gets you through. They may have to sing a piece of that song on Instagram now.
That's right. So
if you're going through something, if you're going through it,
they still have to get on social media. So what they can do, because they may not want to or may not be as active, is because I had a conversation with an artist, an old school artist and so forth, and they were having these challenges with the social media. But what I recommended to them is, do you have any young people around you? Do you have grandchildren? Do you have nieces and nephews? Do you have any college interns that you can reach out to? They can become your vehicles. You set up stuff on the weekend for them to put out every day. You can set up stuff to go out every day in advance, 30 days on Facebook. So you take a weekend, you get with them, and you go through all the things you want to post, all the pictures you want to post, all the different stuff you want to do. You let them handle that for you.
Yeah.
But it does need to be done.
It has to be done if you want to compete. It has to be.
But you know what that means? It means that they really have to put some effort in and some work in.
That's right.
Effort.
Content, I think sometimes that's part of the problem. They don't want to do all the work. But if they will take time to invest in themselves that way, Willie Mae, what you're saying, I think is excellent idea to tap into some of the young people that know how to do it.
Yeah, because they're on it every day anyway. They might as well take care of yours while they're on it.
Right.
This is so deep, so good. You know what, y'all? Don't forget, join us again next Saturday, live at 5. We're going to do this again. We got another great, juicy panel. I'm going to let Carol, and then we're going to go to Willie Mae, then Eboni, and then Vicki, and then I'm going to ask the pastor. He is a pastor. He's an artist. He's a radio announcer. He's a manager. He's a pastor. Pastor, if you can just pray us out and just give us a great word of encouragement. But everybody, let's give us and give out your contact information, where you want them to email you or call you or Instagram you or don't call you or don't email you. So let us know what you want to give out, and we can make this. We're going to let the people give a comment one more time. Definitely tune in. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Tammy Taylor, for watching our broadcast. And we'll let Carol, Nisa Shanae's out there. Nisa's Pizza every day on every day. Nisa Shanae's out there watching. I'm asking you to share this video. And thank you, everyone who donated a seed into our Cash App to help us bless others. We thank you so very much. Here's my Cash App one last time. So we'll let the one and only Miss Carol, and then we'll go the order I said because I forgot it already. So we can give our closing comments, and we'll end it with the pastor. And don't forget to share this video and repost it as well. Go ahead, Miss Carol.
My encouragement to artists is to stay humble and be teachable and build relationships. And also leverage social media. There's so much more out there, especially across the pond. Leverage social media, do your research, make connections, and build those relationships. You can get hold of me on my website, backtobackpr.com, or you can find International Gospel Music Summit on Facebook, or you can email me. I'll drop my email in there too. It's been great tonight. Thank you.
And then, by the way, there's Rhoda. Rhoda's in the house. Y'all remember Rhoda? Out there. We're going to have Rhoda on next week's show as well. And also our good friend Tasha out there as well watching us. Go ahead, Miss Willie Mae.
Well, I pretty much want to piggyback what's been said before. We do need to build relationships. First relationship you need to build is one with God. If your relationship is intact with God and on point with God, then everything else will fall into place. Make sure you have a stable, good relationship with God before you partake in this business, because without him, you're nothing. And make sure that you realize that everything that is happening for you and to you is because of him, and give him the recognition for it. Never think it's about me. It's about him. It's always about him. And do your homework. Do your homework for your craft. Don't just jump into it and say, hey, I want to be a gospel artist. This is what I'm going to do. It's not like that. Do your homework. Figure out what you need to do. Figure out the team you need to put together. Figure out that you need some management, somebody to handle your finances, some legal advice. Do your homework before you just jump out there. And second, so that's about all that I have to say. God bless you all, and we'll be praying for all of your ministries, because it is still a ministry.
And before I go to Eboni, I forgot this one comment. You know, Ralph Carmichael, going into Vicky's world, when he created his label, he was like, you got to have a relationship with God. Yeah. You got to be loving God. You had to be real. And before Eboni says her final words, I got to give a shout out to the one and only Sydney Scott out there watching.
Hey, Sydney.
Old school, back in the day, we bringing everybody on. We tell everybody every week, we don't care. We don't care. Thank you so much, Demetrius, for your gift. We don't care about your issues, your drama. You mad at so y'all didn't get along. As we said, Vicki, yesterday, people leaving here almost every hour.
Yeah.
And it's time for us to just get it right. Bygones. I'm calling people I don't even like. Hey, how you doing? You all right? Okay, good. You good? All right. Well, forgive me.
Amen.
I appreciate you. And I just want to get it right. Oh, Steve, thank you. Okay, great. And now that you thank me, you can cash at me to a gift. So, we just trying to get it right. Go ahead. Oh, there's Ted. Go ahead, Eboni. Your closing comment.
Well, wait, did Willie may give her information?
Go ahead, Willie. Give me information.
Willie, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all under my name, Willie Mae McIver.
And my advice is going to be keep the main thing. And that's Jesus, okay? And then everything else you do, that's great. That should just be gravy on top. But the main thing is the main thing, and that's Jesus. And that's what we're here to do. And then also, I'm a real advocate for integrity. I'm just like, if the Lord doesn't have to cheat, why do you?
Wow.
He don't need you to cheat for him. Just do what he says do, and do it with integrity, and he'll bless you with that. So those are my two little gems. You can reach me, the Glamazon Mom, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Eboni Funderburk.
Wow. Vicki?
Okay, well, I've been at this for about 45 years now. So I would say that, yeah, I started in the 70s. And so things will change, but Jesus stays the same. And you'll find that through the years, there will be people that may like you, people that don't. You can't always wait for validation from other people. You've got to do what you know is right. And I think the thing that's kept me through it all is having this, it sounds like cliche, but it's really not, having a strong prayer life, because sometimes Jesus is your only friend. And you've got to have that stability to keep on going. So I would say stay versatile. To be in this with longevity, you've got to know who you are in Christ, as I said, because sometimes people will misunderstand you. Sometimes they will understand you well. But you've got to know who you are in Christ and what you're supposed to be doing and just sticking at it. So good. Oh, and you can catch me at Instagram and Facebook are the two accounts that I'm on under my name, Vicki Mack Lataillade. And so I recommend that you can find me there, and I'm on there every day, especially Instagram.
And before we go to Pastor Claude in the background, you want Claude? Now he's a legend. He was chopping the numbers back in the day. Claude, you got to say something, and to everybody out there.
Well, I think all the ladies have said everything that needs to be said. The only thing I can say is ditto. Of course. And you don't want to be a dinosaur. So you want to be able to be flexible to make the changes that you have to make, to be flexible to changing circumstances. And even though things are changing, God is the same. He'll still provide support. He'll still provide provision. And God's always trying to get his word and ministry out. And so I thank the men and women in the gospel music industry that they continue to do that, and God will prosper them in doing that. And let's protect the genre. Let's watch over and keep it, and give God all the praise. Amen.
Now, before the pastor give us our closing prayer, got to say what's up to our dear friend, our veteran. Watch, our veteran was on last week's broadcast, and we cut up with him, me, Kenny, Sheila Bell. We're going to be here again next Saturday, y'all, live at 5-ish with the gospel music industry, old school.
5-ish.
5-ish, you know how we do 5-ish. So, we just bring everybody together. I just want to see your face and make sure you're good at 5-ish. We may go back to 5:30-ish. I don't know. We got to get out here in time. Go ahead, Pastor. What do you want to say in closing words?
Well, this has just been so awesome. It's been exciting, igniting. One of my favorite scriptures is iron sharpens iron. And, with folk like being on this with all of you, and then those that are out there that they weren't on tonight, but they were watching like Tammy and Demetrius and all those others. But I love you all. And it's really, great that we that technology allows us to do this, that we can still be connected by way of Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and we can cross the pond and cross the country and all of that. So it's just an exciting thing. I felt like Apostle Claude had kind of really given us somewhat of a benediction as he gave us our orders to keep on keeping on and to march forward. But in this difficult time, I think, and going back to something I think Brother Pastor Norman Hutchins to kind of address that, but for everybody, we love the B part of Scripture, but we cannot forget the A part. And one of everybody's favorite is no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And we love that, and that's true, and that's wonderful. But that's verse number 17. Verse number 14 says, in righteousness shalt thou be established. If you establish that thing in the righteousness of God, then no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So let us keep on marching on, keep on holding on. Let's keep thanking God. God, we thank you, we bless you, we praise you, we glorify you. We thank you for your keeping power, oh God. We thank you for the knowledge that you continue to spew out among us, God. We thank you for your joy. For the joy of the Lord is our strength. God, we thank you for these that have used your strength to give you glory, have used the strength that you have provided to be innovative and to do new things, to cause others to find you, to establish relationship with you, oh God. Then, God, we thank you for your keeping power of us and how you have allowed us to stay in this thing that we love, that you might be glorified, your people edified, and Satan horrified. And now, my brothers and sisters, I just ask that we all, like Nehemiah, would just stay up on the wall and don't come down. This is our prayer. In the matchless, inexhaustible, favorable, powerful name of Jesus the Christ. Amen, amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah. This is exciting.
This is good. Yeah. So I want everybody to share this video. We want to educate people, get the word out, share the video, let people know that, hey, we had a good time today. We're going to be back again next Saturday, as we say, around 5-ish. You know how we do.
Look, but right there is my thing. Is my JeromeAllenBell.com. I'm Jerome Allen Bell at Gmail. I'm Jerome Allen Bell on Instagram, Jerome Allen Bell on Facebook, Jerome Allen Bell. Look, he ain't hiding from nobody. It's Jerome Allen Bell.
And you know, we're gonna work hard to get Cindy and Tammy on next week, and we're gonna try to get Demetrius on here and just
Tammy, hi Demetrius.
Hey, everybody! I promise. I gotta do this, Vicki. Talk about this rap you got going on with your sister and everything. I gotta keep it going.
Yes, actually, my sister is making wraps with head scarves to go with them. So you got a head wrap and a mask. So there's a mask.
Oh wow!
Oh cool.
And he's just making, you know, so you'll have a wrap. I don't have the one that goes with this in front of me because I didn't know you were going to ask me that.
Right.
My sister at MackArtistry.com or Mack Artistry on Instagram and Facebook. You can order there. And so it's the head wrap and the mask matching.
All right. If you like it, reach out to Vicki. See her on Instagram, see her on Bookface or Twitter, whatever that thing is, you know. Just see her and hook her up. Share the video. Share this video. Help educate some of these artists. We love all the artists. We love all the artists, but we just want y'all to share this video. Thank y'all so much. Thank you to the artists. Thank you for everybody who's helping us be a blessing to others. Thank you everybody who's sewn into our Cash App because we can be a blessing to other people. As I say every Saturday, I got to get ready to get out of here because Boston Market's get ready to close, and I got to get my dinner for Sunday afternoon, y'all. Until next time, Brother Steve says, this pandemic has not caught God off guard. He know what he's doing. We know what's going on. Let's take the time. If you don't write a script, work on a book, pay your nasty house, pay your car, do something, and you the dummy. So you take time on this vacation. You make it work. Until next time, Brother Steve from Hollywood, California. Y'all like that? All right, that's good. All right, we'll see y'all next week.
From Hollywood,